Nier Replicant is the greatest game that you've never played, and it comes in at number 8 for my top 10 video game stories of all time. And honestly, to properly explain why would be a fool's errand. I have to show you why. Why I truly believe this is a once-in-a-generation type of game. And you know what? I'm just going to show you. We're going to play the introduction. We're going to play it on normal. And I'm just going to let the game speak for itself. Name of the game. The snow won't stop falling, so Nia said he'd stay here with me until it stops. He'll probably leave again when it does, so I kind of hope it snows forever. Nier Replicant is one of those games that they don't come around often. You can only experience them once, because the nature of the game is to raise questions, and it's those type of questions where it's not just like those stories where they feel deep because they make you question things. No, you understand that there is something deeper going on beneath the surface here, and that you are nothing more than a passenger for this weird and extravagant ride that Yoko Taro and Saito and all the crew have in store for you. This is one of those games that I fully believe everyone should play at some point in their life. The story is deep and engrossing. The characters are honestly one of my favorite cast of characters of any game. Not even just game, of any story that I've ever experienced. They are that highest of echelon tiers. And honestly, if I was ranking just the characters and doing a top 10 cast of characters of all time, this would probably end up being a top 3 game for me. They are that elite, that poignant in their character development. They're poignant in their dynamics with one another, and their relationships between one another. And you're only going to see 2 characters here, one of which is a main character, one of which is more of like a 1B-esque character, where they're a major character, but they're not like the main party character. And you're going to meet Nier. You see right there, he's one of the main characters, and you're going to see Yona, his sister, which is the 1B character that I was talking about. And we start off in this run-down convenience store with this weird narration going on. Take it and save, as if tempting Nier to cross some kind of threshold to take up this power for himself. This game throws you for loops constantly, consistently. You never know what to expect. Does the game have its issues? Yes. The side content is very aged in its overall design. It's very grindy. There's a lot of side quests that really just kind of feel like filler. There's some really cool and fun interactions between the various party members, which I feel helps prop up that side content, make it feel worth doing at least once. But one of the brilliant aspects of Nier, in my opinion, and this is true for Nier Automata and why Nier Automata is high on the list for me. Look, Nier Automata came in as my number 1 game of all time. You dang well better expect it to come in higher in this list as well. But the reason Nier Replicant was also my top 10 games of all times list was largely because of the story. Was largely because of how the game is able to weave its narration into the game to tell a more cohesive and engaging narrative, using the fundamental design philosophies and unique characteristics available to it because it's a video game, because it's in this unique medium, because it has that layer of interaction, because it has these very common tropes of being a video game, like being able to do multiple saves, or collecting items, using save screens or load screens to trickle little pieces of lore and story into you. This game oozes characterization. From the animations, the facial expressions, the dialogue, the VO. The VO is S tier in my opinion. It's elite.
Don't worry, Yona.
Like right off the bat in this introduction, you understand that Yona is sick. Nier's trying to take care of her, trying his best. They clearly care about each other. Okay, nothing too special yet. Weird book there, not gonna lie. But those monsters we just fought were kind of interesting to look at. There's something deeper going on the surface here.
Yeah?
And This introduction, in my opinion, is a perfect example of how this game is able to use the video game medium to its advantage to tell a more engaging and productive narrative. And all we have equipped right now is a pipe, and we have these monsters coming out of thin air. And by the way, this entire scene gets recontextualized later on. Everything in this game gets an answer. In its own weird way. Like, you'll have to think about it, but it will get an answer in some form or fashion. And everything gets recontextualized. The game understands pacing, it understands how to do reveals later on to make these scenes even more emotionally provocative and engrossing on a second playthrough. Now, it used us losing in the actual combat, the gameplay, to further the narrative, because we got overrun there by those shades, which is what they're called. In desperation, because we literally only had a freaking pipe, Nier here needs more power because he wants to protect his sister. Exactly, see? He approaches the book, we don't know what it is yet, but it starts to glow. Clearly he's making some kind of maybe pact, or is absorbing or becoming more powerful because of this book. But we don't, as of this point, if you haven't not played Replicant before, you don't know why this is happening. But all of a sudden, you got a giant freaking fist comes out of nowhere. Such a great hook. And in this introduction, you're going to be introduced to a spread of powers, one after the other. And you're going to get very powerful. It's a condensed version of an RPG progression system in just this introduction to give you a taste of what's to come. But you also understand the dangers of this book because of how powerful you get, and the way you can tell is just by fighting these guys. It's furthering the story and the narrative and the emotional stakes at hand through the gameplay. And a lot of games try and do that. Not all games that are out there do it as well as Nier Replicant, in my opinion. Also, I normally play this game on hard mode, and my god, these guys are like way less health spongy. On normal mode, my god. See, we're already level 2. We got this giant hand. Yeah? Hit him with the Hadouken! Okay, well, ignore that. That didn't, really help my case. But you see how powerful you just feel? Like, I'm moving over my words and tripping over them just because how cool this freaking is. Here we go. Yeah, bash him with the stick right in the penis. There you go. Move over here. Wind him up. Bop. There you go. Love that. New power unlocked. And now we're being swarmed by these smaller jabronis. So it's introducing to the power structure and the abilities you can have access to later on in the game in this, like, hyper-condensed RPG progression system. It's freaking brilliant. Not just from a gameplay perspective, but from a story and narrative experience, because you understand just how powerful this freaking book can get. Which will come into play later on as you're introduced to a character called Grimoire Weiss, who will be kind of like your main traveling companion throughout the game. It's a really interesting way to introduce the player to the emotional stakes involved, because the way you experience those stakes is by playing through them. Because you're the person in control of the power here. These guys don't really feel threatening, right? That's kind of the point. I'm not joking. Dang near every design direction right now is made for a very specific purpose. And is made to be revealed later on, no matter how minor they may seem right now on the surface, including just how many of these mobs we're fighting right now, and how easy this kind of is for us just to run through. Because that's what we're kind of doing. We're kind of running through these mobs. They don't particularly feel threatening, and that is by design, people. We've got a new power already. We're absorbing the essence of these jabronis into our book to gain new powers. See how freaking cool that is? Not only is this a really fun introduction, just in general, it's introducing various mechanics, but subconsciously, it is introducing you to the power structure of this world and what can happen in essentially the power scaling of this world. That's essentially what this introduction is doing. Move back in here, and time for a boss fight real quick. On normal mode, this guy should probably, like, fall over. Let me try this. On hard mode, it's a bit annoying, but I'm not getting, like, one shot on normal mode, so that's good. You know, progress is being made. How? Got freaking backhanded. Okay, we gotta, like, mop up the small ones. Hold on. We go Anakin Skywalker here. Here we go. Take this, little ones. There we go. There we go. Little bit of cooperation. Now, the combat feels very similar to Nier Automata, though it's not a Platinum game. That's important to bear in mind. But this game was clearly inspired by Nier Automata's gameplay overall. I think it's for the best, honestly. Because if we're talking just about the gameplay, I feel I borderline enjoy Replicant's gameplay more than I do Automata's. And it's mainly because of the power structure behind this book. I really enjoy the magic in this game. And the progression system later on for the wood system, which also ties into the story, by the way, is really interesting. And how just customizable every aspect really is. But it's one of Nier's strongest aspects. And I'll go over this a ton when we get to Nier Automata later on in the series. It's just how Yoko Taro and Nier are able to bridge the gap between story and gameplay in so many ways that you don't normally expect. I'm not really paying attention to this boss because this thing's falling over. But yeah, ordinarily you want to, like, dodge those. I think I could, like, parry him. Yeah, I probably parry him. Who cares though, it's normal mode. There we go, boss done. And you see how quickly we're leveling up there? We're already level 30. So, as a gamer, you probably already expect, okay, we're going to get some kind of de-leveling happening soon. We're not going to be staying at this power level. That'd be kind of ridiculous. I wouldn't mind it, but it would be kind of ridiculous. So now that we've dealt with the threat, we return to the ruined convenience store or grocery store, whatever you want to call it, and meet back up with Yona.
Yona, talk to me.
It's okay. I'm fine. What about you?
And what this introduction is so good at doing,
Okay.
and this carries throughout Nier Replicant as a whole, is introducing you to these big earth-shattering questions later on such a consistent basis, and keeping you on your toes, and never knowing what to expect, but also grounding the story in very relatable and understandable characters and characterization. Like right now, we just fought all those shades and gained all that power, and what does it transition to immediately? Yona just trying to make sure that despite her sickness, Nier is taken care of and is able to have a cookie.
Yona!
They both clearly care about one another, despite the fact that Yona is very freaking sick. And look at her disease. Black scrawl, this writing, enveloping her very being. That's not a disease we know of, at least I haven't seen it on Dr. House. Another question is raised. What's the book? What are those powers? Who are the enemies? What's this, like, disease that Yona has? What happened to the world? Why is this convenience store like this?
We need help.
The music, the atmosphere, the color saturation, they all add to this scene. Nier understands that he can't do this alone, he can't do this by himself, so he's crying out for help. By itself, we're like, okay, yeah, sure, that was a pretty fun and interesting introduction, Jmulls, but why is this worthy of being in the top 10 game stories of all time? And why are you showing this specifically? Is it just because you don't have B-roll for the later sections of this game, so you can't really show that part? Yes. Is it also because that maybe you don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played Nier Replicant yet, so you can't really go into the specific details? Also, yes. However, this introduction is about to do something that will throw you for a loop. And everything that has happened now and is about to happen is the perfect encapsulation of what it means to play a Nier game. And how the Nier experience kind of goes from here on out. In 3, I gotta wait for the loading screen. But yeah. All those little details that I just mentioned. How that scene will become recontextualized later on. And there you go. 1412 years later. Bit of a time skip, huh? We're in this, what appears to be a less technologically advanced house, but look who's there. It's Nier and Yona.
Alright, I'm heading out.
1412 years later. That feeling right there, if you haven't played this game before, is the perfect encapsulation of what it feels like to play a Nier game. You do not know what to expect, what to think,
Better not.
and you will start to believe that you cannot predict where this story is going, because you truly cannot. This game will make you think you're going one way, then go another. But it's always grounded in these very relatable and likable characters. There's not a single character in this entire game that I actively dislike. This game, in my opinion, is storytelling elitism. Boiled down or distilled down to its purest form. It is incredible how this game is able to weave gameplay and gameplay mechanics into its narrative to tell a more cohesive and interesting story. I think overall the game tackles multiple playthroughs in a way that's less interesting to me than the Automata, because you have to replay significant chunks of the game over and over again while getting a few extra pieces of scenes or for context to recontextualize certain events, whereas in Nier Automata I felt that the repeated playthroughs were far more palatable on the surface overall and changed up way more going from playthrough to playthrough than Nier Replicant does, in my opinion. However, Nier Replicant still is able to make this top 10, in my opinion, because of just how special this game truly is, in my opinion. The cast of characters, I've said before, is elite. Each character holds their own. No character feels like they're being propped up by the others in the party. They all can stand on their own in terms of development, characterization, personality, jokes, banter. They all work and bounce off one another in such an interesting and fun freaking way. And some of the side quests in this game are truly freaking heartbreaking and honestly just as emotionally provocative as the main freaking story. And that is the hard thing to do for a lot of games, especially games that are this rooted in older styles of side quest content. But this game's able to nail it. I wanted to do a lot of those grindy side quests. I did pretty much every side quest in this game. Actually, I think I did every side quest in this game before. Just because, one, I want to be a completionist about this game. But also, I wanted just to see the banter that the main character would have with the rest of the party members just throughout doing these side content, these side quests, this side content. Because that is how good of a cast of characters. That is how engrossing these characters are. That is how engrossing they are. That's how incredible they are. And their stories, how they develop. No one is forgotten. No one is left behind. And that feeling, that when 1412 years later popped up, that is a feeling that sticks with Nier. When it throws you for a loop. Time and time and time again, but it doesn't just do it for shock value. And it doesn't just do it to keep you on your toes. It does so for a very specific reason, because it has a story and a narrative and a theme and a message that it is trying to tell you. That it is trying to convey, and it does so in a very effective way. And it has the benefit of being an unpredictable story. One that keeps you on your seat, wanting to see more of it. Wanting to play more of it. Is it a perfect game? No, absolutely not. However, the strengths of this game far, far, far outweigh the cons, in my opinion. That is how special of a game this is. This is one of those games, alongside Nier Automata, that in my opinion, everyone who enjoys story in games, who wants to experience what this entire industry, what this medium is capable of doing, of accomplishing, in terms of conveying thoughts and emotions throughout the video game medium needs to play Nier. I cannot recommend Nier Replicant and Automata, and we'll get to Automata later in this list, enough. Both of these games are S tier. This game, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of what it means to be a character-based story. It is that high. It is in the highest of echelons I can put it in. The highest of tiers. I fully recommend this. And that is why this game comes in at number 8 for my top 10 video game stories of all time. Does it have its hiccups? Yes, and they come in my opinion, in the repeat playthroughs in order to get the full story, because you have to replay quite a bit of it and can get a little bit of a drag when you get to like playthrough C. It's still worth it in my opinion. It's still incredible in my opinion. But that's why it's not going to be higher in this list for me. But honestly, if you ask me on another day, I could probably put like a place or two higher here. Quite a few of these next games in this series are going to be rather close to each other in terms of quality. But today, I'm going to wrap up the video there for today. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making that video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe. Have a great day. Also, it's not like 7 or higher because we can't pet the dog here. I should actually, like, 0 out of 10. Can't recommend the game because of that. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe. Have a great day. Go play some video games if you can. And as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.